This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Horror Fried Podcast. That is Mike Martin.
That is Michael Combs.
And that is Brian Clanton.
That's not my name.
On paper it is.
On paper. Well, that's Michael Robert Combs.
Well, that's Brian Keith Clanton.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, you know what's funny?
You leave my middle name out of this.
What is your middle name? Hang on, don't tell me. I know what it is. Michael. Shit. Don't tell me. I knew this. It's slipping my head. Give me a clue. What's the number?
Starts with an L.
An L. Michael Liberace Martin.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Michael L?
That's the one.
Michael.
Leo?
You're close.
Leon.
Yep.
Leon. Where'd they get Leon?
Oh, I mean, I'm a junior, so.
They were very big.
Oh, you're a junior? I never knew that.
They were really big Resident Evil fans. Leon Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm a junior, but Leon was also my grandfather's middle name. So.
Robert was my dad's first name, so that's where I got mine.
I'm named after nobody. So, you know what's funny? I thought about this last time we recorded. Used to, when we were sitting at the table, I would always say, that's Michael Combs. And remember that one day I introduced you first because I wanted to throw y'all off, and I'm pretty sure I've been doing it that way ever since.
I think so.
Remember?
That sounds right.
Yeah. So what's everybody been up to?
Well, we all went to Full Moon.
Oh, yeah, Horror Hound.
Horror Hound.
Just kidding. Full Moon. Look, I didn't know when Full Moon was forever, so.
You did.
No, you thought it was the
You kept saying,
beginning of March.
Are we going to Full Moon this weekend? No, it's not until April.
And then it finally came. He's like, what?
Not until
I
April.
thought it was
See,
the end
wrong.
Oh, it was at the end of March. End of March, yeah.
And then he thought it was in April. And we're like,
Well, it is confusing because I always have it on Easter weekend, and Easter is typically in April, so I can understand everybody being a little confused, but we had a really good time.
met
No,
Barbara
I got to meet
Crampton.
Spencer.
Yeah, you did.
Met
Fine
Spencer,
as
Barbara
hell.
Crampton.
Y'all went to that movie.
I know, and I told Mike he would be so jealous because like we were literally standing, like when I say beside, like I'm talking shoulder to shoulder, and Michael looked over and he said, "Mike would have died," and I was like, "I know."
He's shorter than I thought
He
he
is
was
short,
gonna
and
be.
he had his little tub of popcorn, and he was just eating his popcorn.
I mean, I'm really surprised that you didn't at least ask for a selfie.
Well, we were so whenever we left the theater, like he was actually sitting in the back of it, and we were going to, but at that point he'd gotten his popcorn, and I was like, I just don't want to bother him. Like he's here to hang out with Barbara and Jonathan because they just showed their movie, and I wanted to get a selfie with Jonathan and Barbara because we saw Suitable Flesh. If you haven't seen Suitable Flesh, please go watch it. It's very good. But I overheard Jonathan say he had to get home to his kids, and I was like, oh, I don't want to bother him. He's got to get home to his children. Like I don't know. It's different when you're. I just didn't want to bother any of them.
Yeah.
They were having fun.
I mean,
Well, it seems like Barbara and Spencer are good friends. They were doing shit all weekend together.
I think they're represented by the same people.
Well, I love Barbara.
I know
She
you do.
was so nice.
She was very, very nice. We talked to her for a long time about how cute Russell Todd was. Oh my God! Speaking
Her
of
beauty
Russell
regimen.
Todd, did you see? Meggie had posted something. Our friend Meggie had posted one of those things on Instagram where you can like add yours. So it'll be like favorite movie, and you can add your thing to it or whatever. So it was favorite horror hunk or something.
Horror crush.
Her crush, biggest horror crush, and she had chosen Timothy Olyphant because obviously we know she loves him. But I did Russell Todd, and he sent me a message and said, "Thank you so much, Keith."
and then shared it on
And
his
then
stories.
shared it on his story. And I sent him a message back, and I said, "Are you kidding me? Nobody even could hold a candle to you, Russell Todd." I thought that was nice.
No, you definitely did tell me this.
So Mike posted one of guess.
I already saw his. I don't remember.
Oh.
what it
No.
was.
God, I'm glad it made an impression. It was Jason Patrick.
You guys talk about
Jason
boys
Patrick. Okay.
all the time. It's
Here's
like
my question,
in one
though,
ear and
for
out
you.
the other.
Yeah, who would yours be?
Who would yours have been? I feel like I know this.
I don't
What?
I don't know.
I almost felt like you would pick Rick from Brain Damage.
Rick Hurst?
Yeah, just because.
I mean, yeah, sure, he's cute.
For some reason, every time I think of this with you, I think about our first season when we talked about this.
Horror hunks.
And you mentioned that one guy from Blair Witch 2. And every single time I think about Blair Witch 2, I think about you.
I did mention him.
That
Yes.
random guy that nobody knows. And
There
he
was-
showed his butt.
He was on a USA show for like 7 seasons.
La
The
Femme
lead of
Nikita?
it. No. Burn Notice.
Silk stockings.
He was on Burn Notice with Bruce Campbell.
I don't know that show. I've heard of it.
I mean, it's been off the air for a long time.
Yeah.
At this point.
Anywho. And
Jeffrey Donovan was his name.
Yeah. I really wanted our friend Maggie to join us on this episode because she works with a lot of the actors that are in this movie that we're about to cover, but we got to the point where we're like, okay, we have to record this because we're going to Spicala this weekend and we're not going to have time. So she's definitely going to join us down the line, though, for something else. But having said that, I do have a question for y'all.
Okay.
Okay. So have you ever suspected that your mysterious new neighbor is a bloodthirsty vampire who's hell-bent on seducing your underage girlfriend?
I thought I lived next door to a witch.
What?
I'm kidding.
Oh. Well, in your record store beside, like, a witchy woman's business? Isn't she kind of witchy?
She's...
Or is she more, like, holistic?
Holistic's a nice way to put it.
Wiccan, maybe?
She might be. She's a lesbian.
Yeah, but you said she's really
Lesbians
nice.
are kind of Wiccan.
What if she
Wiccans are
listens to
lesbians.
this and you just, like, outed her to everybody?
Oh,
to all 12 of our listeners?
Leslie the lesbian is out to everyone, so...
Yeah, but you really like her. You've said
Oh,
nothing
she's
but
a
nice
sweetheart.
things.
Yes.
Anyway, well, everybody, we're watching. Well, we've already watched it. We're talking about. We are discussing Fright Night. Fright Night.
What would you do if you accidentally discovered the house next door was occupied by something not human? Something horrifying. Something unspeakably evil. No one believes you.
Mom, I didn't have a nightmare.
Not your mom.
They did kill a girl over there.
Not your girlfriend.
Charlie, is this some sort of a trick to get me back?
Not even the police.
Look, I know it's crazy. I know that, but look, Lieutenant!
It knows that you know. You'll do anything to protect yourself. But it will do anything to protect its secret. Fright Night. If you love being scared, this could be the night of your life. Fright Night. Coming to your neighborhood this summer.
Fright Night is a 1985? Yes, 85. What a great year. American supernatural horror film written and directed by Tom Holland in his directorial debut. The film stars Chris Sarandon as Jerry Dandridge, William Ragsdale as Charlie Brewster, Roddy McDowell as Peter Vincent, Amanda Bearse as Amy Peterson, Stephen Jeffries as Edward Evil Ed Thompson, and Jonathan Stark as Billy Cole. And Dorothy Fielding as Judy Brewster. I feel like the mom deserves a shout out because
she definitely does.
I liked her. All right, Michael,
Yes,
please kick us off.
I will, but before that, I would like to note that this is the OG Tom Holland,
Yeah.
not the Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
I think everybody knows.
I
that.
don't think everyone
If it was
would know
directed
that.
in 1985,
I think when people hear the name Tom Holland, though, it goes to Spider-Man.
See, I guess
me,
it's just because
but-
I'm a horror fan. But when I hear Tom Holland, I think of Tom Holland, the director, and Tom Holland, Spider-Man.
I just say that because when I've had conversations with people and say Tom Holland, they automatically go to Spider-Man. Anyway, so our movie opens up outside and then pans into a house and someone is watching a movie. We see a couple, Charlie and Amy, making out on the floor as the movie is playing, hosted by local horror host Peter Vincent. Mm-hmm. We love a horror host.
I mean, literally.
We do love a horror host. I liked how the film opens up in the, like, you can see the outside of the house and you hear all this going on and you're like, oh. And then, but when we were sitting here watching it, because y'all, I've seen bits and pieces of Fright Night, but I've never sat down and just watched it all the way through, like, and actually paid attention. And I looked at Michael and I was like, they're watching something on TV, huh? And he was like, mm-hmm. And, but, okay. I was trying to figure out if maybe any of these clips they were showing were real or if they were just made for the movie. Do you happen to know?
Oh, they were made for the movie.
So none of them were real movies?
No.
Okay. That's good to know. I was curious.
Orgy of the Damned was made.
Is that what it was called?
One of them, yes.
Oh. One thing that drove me crazy about the movie is when he's got the steak. Did you notice he had it pointing the wrong way? He had it pointing toward himself.
I think that was like on purpose. It was supposed to be like a funny bit.
Oh.
Because it was supposed to be like a B movie. No, it was definitely on purpose.
Okay. I don't know. I was a little annoyed with the kids because I was like, y'all, watch the movie. You can get it on later. Let me tell you something. If that was me and my girlfriend back then, yes, I had a girlfriend back then, was trying to like mac on me while we were watching The Wedding Planner, I would have been like, girl, this is going to have to wait. Like, I'm watching this movie.
Well, Amy doesn't want to go any further than making out, but Charlie does.
But hadn't they been dating like a year?
Well, he does say a year, yeah. She says, let's get into bed. She does, but Charlie does not.
Why doesn't he?
Well, Charlie sees two men moving a coffin into the house next door.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Charlie,
as
I'm
one
ready.
does.
Charlie?
How many times does she like... She's kind of whiny in this, isn't she?
I mean, she is.
She's a little whiny.
She's also, I get it.
She's supposed to be like 16 or 17. Like, and she is ready to give it up to this guy.
Well, she wasn't, and then 5 seconds later, she is.
Yeah, she had to change of heart real quick.
Charlie relays what is happening to Amy, and Amy thinks he is just saying what is on the TV. Mm-hmm. She gets pissed and starts to leave, only to be stopped by Charlie's mom. There is also a news program on TV about a murder.
I kind of liked that scene because she's talking about... we were going to make love or something. And then his mom's like, you kids are okay? And she's like, oh, yes. And I'm like, how embarrassing.
It was. I was like, if I had come running downstairs, because the mom's like, are you guys having a lover's quarrel?
Yeah.
And then she talks about how people that have quarrels stay married longer or something.
Yeah, and he's like, Mom, we're in high school or something.
And she's like, well, it doesn't matter.
But I thought it was funny because if that would have been me, I would have been so embarrassed. And I almost thought like maybe she just wasn't home. But obviously they knew she was home and they were like about to get crazy upstairs in his bedroom.
Well,
I don't know, y'all.
Well,
I mean, I've done some shit while my parents were home. Let's be real. I think we all have, probably.
I do love his mom, though. Mm-hmm. I think she is so... She's just fun.
She's cool. She's a cool mom. She's not a regular mom. She's a cool mom.
Amy then does storm out, and his mom says that it's very rude that he didn't walk her out. Yeah. Which it was.
Yeah.
But, being the horror fan he is, obviously, he's a little preoccupied with things. So the next day at school,
and we're not talking about his boner.
The next day.
I don't know that he would have had one, honestly.
Maybe not.
Maybe a boner for that coffin. Maybe.
Could have been. So the next day at school, there's a pop quiz, and guess what? Amy is still pissed off.
Charlie!
She storms by him.
This is when we see Evil Ed the first time, right?
Yes. This is the first time we see Evil Ed.
Yes.
Charlie goes home and gets stopped by a beautiful woman asking if this is 99 Oak, which is the house next door.
And it is. And she goes inside, and you never see her again. Okay, so
I think that was actually a Playboy model.
she was very pretty. So this just cracked me up while I was watching it, and so I made a little note because I want to talk about it. Whenever he gets home, you see a little girl in the neighborhood, and she's on one of those little spring horses. Do you remember those? You could ride them, and the horse was on springs, and you just kind of bounced up and down on it.
Yes.
Okay, so when I was a kid,
I had one too.
I had one. Well, my great grandma kept one at her house, and she was watching me. And I was probably, I was in school, so I had to have been like 3 or 4, but I have very vivid memories of this. And I was riding it, having a great time. And it was under a tree because it was hot outside. It was in the summer, so got to have the shade. And this huge branch, I can hear it crack above me. And I look up, and it just fell on top of me. And let me just say, that was the last time I ever got on that spring horse.
You were having the best day of your life until...
Yeah. And I guess it must have... Because I don't ever remember riding one after that.
PTSD.
Yeah.
When you see one, do you get that PTSD?
Yeah. I cry.
Well, clearly you just watched a movie with one in there and it immediately...
That's immediately what I thought of. Yeah.
That's funny. While doing his homework, he hears a girl scream.
Who is it?
We find out the next day.
Yeah.
So the next day in the cafeteria, Amy and Charlie start to make up when a news program comes on showing that the girl from the day before was murdered. And then he gets a sloppy Joe. I think it's a sloppy Joe to the face.
Well, it looked like a burger, and I was like, oh, it's hamburger day. But then she throws it at him, and it's all like gross. And I was like, oh.
I don't, it's a sloppy Joe, or
but it had like stuff you put on a burger on it.
Yeah, it looked like a burger.
Well, I've done that on a sloppy Joe, though.
Yeah, but I almost...
Tomato and lettuce?
Yeah, honestly.
Well, cheese.
And some mustard.
Yeah, why not?
I put cheese on my sloppy Joes. But
maybe it's a loose meat sandwich.
From the Land for Lunchbox?
Yes.
I wonder, though, if it was actually supposed to be a hamburger, and they did it so it would, like, look like that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Probably.
You know?
Evil Eddie in my head is in this scene because this is when he like makes that comment to
You're
him
so
about
cool, Brewster.
Well, and when he's like, "Did you see how it happened?" It says like both of their heads got chopped off, and he just like laughs creepily.
He does have a very
maniacal laugh.
Yes.
Well,
which was on purpose.
I don't. So watching this all the way through, like, before I just assumed that they were friends, but, like, I'm not picking up on, like, I feel like maybe they weren't.
I feel like they're frenemies.
Yeah, they're not really friends. They just kind of go through this together because Evil Ed knows all the shit. You know what I mean? But I didn't pick up on, like, oh, they're definitely, like, besties.
Right.
No.
Look, it wasn't until... Because for the first, 30 minutes of the movie, I was like, what the fuck is she in? And I was sitting there looking at Amy, and I was like, oh, it's Marcy. Mm-hmm. From Married with Children.
Yeah. Oh. It's a young Marcy Darcy.
Yeah. But, anyway, because I didn't know her real name.
Yeah.
But I just kept listening to her, and every time she'd talk, I was like, she... sounds like somebody, and I was like, I'm gonna have to figure this out.
Oh yeah, well that's one of Maggie's clients. She has nothing but nice things to say about all those Fright Night actors.
Yeah. So when Charlie gets home, he starts snooping about next door, and Billy Cole, the handyman, sees him and scares him.
The handyman, aka Dandridge's male lover. That's what look, the whole movie, okay, I get it. No, I do have questions that I'm going to ask a little later. I'm not going to do it yet because we're nowhere close to the scene that I'm going to reference. But, like his roommate, you're like grown men, and you live in this house together, and he's your living carpenter.
Even his mom makes a comment.
About him being gay. Yeah.
Knowing my luck, he's probably gay.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me, I don't know how familiar either of you are with this, but the movie Vampire in Brooklyn?
I haven't ever watched it. With Eddie Murphy?
With Eddie Murphy.
Me neither.
So he has like kind of like a sidekick too. And I was like, well, I wonder if this is like a thing. Like that, I don't know if he's like, you know, a lead like vampire and he kind of has like his little
minions.
Yeah, his like little minion that basically does all his bidding for him.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, like, it reminded me of like...
Because he kind of is like, he kind of watches over
He
him.
does.
So I assumed that was kind of like what his role is.
It's like his Renfield.
Yeah.
So later that night, Charlie falls asleep while doing his homework and awakens to his neighbor Jerry undressing a woman. Charlie gets very excited about. Well, he sees some boob.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
he
he
had like a
does.
Penthouse magazine on the floor, and it's like obviously that's better than any Penthouse magazine you're gonna find.
Well, for whatever
That's
it is,
every-
17, 18-year-old boy,
I was about to say, that is every teenage boy's dream, to look out your window
and
see
see
and
boobs.
just see...
boobs.
Yeah. But, I mean, I couldn't get over the fact that Chris Sarandon's hand looked very feminine.
That was a woman's hand. I wrote that in my notes. I put, whose lady hand is that? 'Cause
like
that's
when he's caressing her,
Well, no,
or
like,
when he pulls
he
the
pulls
blind.
the
yeah,
blind down.
the blind.
Well, his fingers are also very elongated.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but even the rest of the
Yeah.
movie, when he's turning into his vampire form, his fingers do that, and I'm like, I almost think like that's a woman's hands. Like those aren't actually his hands with prosthetics. Like it just looks like a woman's hand. Unless Chris Sarandon has lady hands. I don't know. Never met him before.
I haven't ever either.
I don't feel like he would have lady hands.
I mean, I have a theory of why they're elongated, but we can talk about that later.
Can I just say, I apologize in advance if you can hear me mixing up this drink.
Who cares?
Well, I was going to tell everybody that you made bushwhackers for everyone. If you've never had a bushwhacker before, just look it up because I don't really know what's in it. But it's delicious, and it's like a blended drink. But these are really thick, and anytime I try to take a sip, it gets stuck in the straw.
They're basically like a boozy milkshake.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Anyways, they're very good. Continue. Sorry.
So, obviously, Jerry sees him and pulls down the blinds. And then Charlie decides to run outside to spy on the neighbor. And then his mom comes outside and starts yelling for him.
What are you doing?
Charlie!
And he's in the bushes.
Yeah. And
Chris Sarandon
Chris throws
sees him.
that apple at him.
Yeah, he loves an apple.
He loves to eat.
There's a whole thing about that, which we can talk about later.
Oh. 'Cause I was wondering, I'm like, because in most, vampire lore, like, they don't eat.
Well, since we're on it, I'll just tell you what it is.
Okay.
Tom Holland told all these actors to write backstories for their characters, and because he turns into something later in the movie that we'll talk about, most bats well, I just said it. Most bats eat fruit. So he figured he would eat fruit, specifically apples, as a palate cleanser after feasting on blood. And so that was a character.
I did notice that, like, I mean, obviously not yet because we haven't really gone into his house yet, but I did notice that he has like a bowl of fruit sitting next to the phone or something, I think.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that's what all has to do with him developing a bat character.
Okay. Well, and the only reason I thought about it was because in any vampire lore, like, a lot of my vampire lore is like True Blood. You know what I mean? But they don't eat.
They can't
only
have
drink
anything but
They
blood.
can't eat anything because they can't digest it. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. He's eating an apple.
Well, his whole thing was most bats eat fruit, so he's like, I'm going to eat fruit. Mm-hmm. So Charlie gets seen and runs back inside with his mother.
He's like frantic.
Very frantic. The next day, he tells Amy. She doesn't believe him, and nor does his mom. I remember, a vampire?
I mean, who would believe him? I'd believe him.
Oh,
Would you?
I would want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I mean, for
I'd be
real?
like-
Let's go figure this out.
Yeah. I'd be like, I wish.
Is he hot? That'd be my question.
Yeah, I don't find Jerry Dandridge.
Dandridge.
He, don't get me wrong, he's handsome. I think he's handsome, but like not my type, you know.
Yeah.
I'd want more of an Eric Northman.
Well, after all this, Charlie brings a cop to Jerry's house, and we have this whole scene.
Would a detective, a real detective, allow a kid to join him during this little investigation?
Well, he doesn't
think
technically
so.
tell him why until he's there. He just said, I saw them carrying out a body bag or a garbage bag or something.
Yes, but the detective, if he was going in to investigate, would
That's
not allow
true.
a kid to come in with him. You stay outside, son. Let me do this. Like,
Well, they
it's
get
the
a good...
80s. I guess you can do anything in the 80s.
You can. Well, then Charlie says... They sure laugh at him when he says he's a vampire. But I don't... Does he say a vampire?
I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does.
And
All
they
I
do
remember
get a
is
nice little
Billy
kick
Cole
out of
going,
it.
ooh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they definitely poke fun.
Yeah.
The cop gets pissed and they all leave. Charlie realizes it will be dark soon and rushes to Evil's house, who gives him tips how to protect himself against vampires.
Oh, because it was after... Because when he left... Is this when he saw Billy, like, kind of eyeballing him?
Yes.
Up on the
And
balcony
he
or whatever?
realizes it's dark. Gonna get dark soon, yes.
So he kind of puts two and two together.
Yeah.
So he rushes to Evil's house. Because Evil is not someone to turn down a fool's money, I think is what he says.
What was it, $8?
$8.
Well, you know, in 1985, this is a lot of money.
$8, honey.
That was a lot of money.
Times have certainly changed.
That's like a week's worth of lunch at school.
Hell yeah, $8. Now it's like one day's worth.
Right.
Well, we learn that he can use a cross.
Mm-hmm.
He needs garlic.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing is, as long as they aren't invited into your house, they can't come and get you.
But guess what?
Well, later that evening, Charlie is called downstairs because his mom has invited Jerry over for a Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary. I thought that was funny.
Yes. And the look on Charlie's face when he sees who's in the house.
With his lady hands on the chair.
Stroking the back of the chair.
Although I kind of thought... I mean, I guess it had really been a long time since I'd seen this. And I was like, is the mom trying to hook up with him? Like, I couldn't even remember where this was going.
Yeah.
I think she's flirting, but it's not like... You know, in that new Fright Night movie, like, I think they make it pretty clear that the mom and him, like, don't they go on dates and stuff? Or am I imagining that?
I do like the remake a lot. They may have gone on a date or planned to go on a date
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. But I will say in this scene, he is very charming. So it's like, okay, no surprise that he's able to lure these women. You know, because, okay, yeah, he's kind of handsome. Again, not my type, but very charming in this scene with Charlie's mom.
Does he have, like, a way of, like, glamoring these people, though?
I think he
so.
does. I
Because
definitely think he does.
I know that that's
Especially
kind of
later
like...
on.
Yeah, like, I know that
Such
that's
a
kind
true
of
blood
a...
term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glamour.
I know that that's, like, a thing in, like, several vampire
He definitely has some kind of
mind...
pull over people, yes.
Yeah. I feel like you don't really see it, though, until the end with Amy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he says some stuff to Charlie there where if I was his mom, I'd be like, what? When he's like, I'm going to come over whenever I want.
Oh, he does.
And
He
all
makes
the
himself-
time.
He makes himself right at home.
I'd be like, what?
Yeah. The mom. If I was the mom, I'd be like, well, don't get crazy. Like,
Out by 9.
yeah.
Later that night, Charlie hears someone on the roof or something on the roof. Jerry makes it into the house and attacks Charlie.
Oh, what do we think of this? As far as... Because you saying this made me kind of go back to after he fed the first time and Charlie's out in the bushes. And we have like the swoosh, swoosh of his bat wings, quote unquote. Because I was like, oh, so he's like flying.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know, well, because you said something about, you know, oh, we'll talk about that later about him being a bat. But yeah,
it's
we kind
alluded
of like,
to
yeah.
in parts before we actually see
which I assume was obviously how he got up on the roof.
Yes,
So-
definitely.
I just think it's funny when he says, we wouldn't want to wake your mother. But then he throws him into the closet and makes the loudest racket.
Right. Well, poor Charlie, he comes in, he's yawning, and then
Well, see,
that thing where you see him in the peripheral vision, you're like, oh, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah.
That was also kind of why I thought maybe he had like, because he started in the mom's bedroom, and I thought maybe he had like kind of done some sort of glamour on her.
To where maybe she
I
wouldn't
think
hear
she took a
anything.
sleeping
Wouldn't-
pill because she was like, I have to start the night
Oh,
shift
yeah,
or the
3 a.m.
whatever
or
shift.
whatever.
I think she was passed the fuck out.
Well, he did like kick her door in.
No, he pulled it past the door jam.
Yeah,
so
so
she
couldn't get
go
out.
down, yeah. But I'm with you. He threw him so hard and fast into that closet. Anyone in that house would have woken up.
Absolutely. I do have to say, he is one ugly vampire.
Oh, when he starts changing, he
Yes.
definitely is.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to glamour these girls. 'cause-
Have to.
Yeah, he's not a pretty True Blood vampire.
He's like a chud.
He is like a chud.
Kinda.
This is a pretty vicious fight, though.
Yeah, it is.
And Jerry's pretty damn strong. Because he flicks that window up like it's nothing after it's been nailed into the windowsill.
Yeah. Well, vampires are known, to be strong. So
Well, Jerry gets a pencil in the hand,
he does.
and that ends it all. And that Charlie's mother finally wakes up. And
I like when she asks, "Do you want a Valium?" What the fuck? A Valium? Who just has Valium?
What are you?
doesn't he say? Did he just say he had a nightmare? And she's like, "Oh, I had a nightmare too. I was naked at the white sail or something."
The mom?
Yes,
Does
She said something like that.
I just love her. She's fun. After the fight, Jerry calls him and says, "I've just destroyed your car, and I'm coming back tomorrow night for you."
Woo! Would you be scared?
Maybe.
Maybe. I
Yes.
would be. I'd move.
I always, whenever, and this is not just in Fright Night, but the whole idea of like, they have to be invited in or whatever. I mean, just go to somebody else's house. I mean,
I'm gonna go stay at Evil Ed's for a while.
yeah, like, I mean,
Anywhere.
you can literally go anywhere. Go to
Yeah.
Amy's house.
Yeah. I think the only place you couldn't go is like a hotel, since it's a business. Like, I think they can go in anything like
Yeah,
that.
like public
like
places.
a bar or whatever. But yeah, if you were in somebody's house, hell, just tell your mom to rescind his invitation.
Well, but then she'd have to believe that it was a vampire, and she
She'd be
doesn't
like,
really believe that. So.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, resent? What? What are you talking about? Do you want some hot cocoa?
No, he wants an apple.
Charlie goes and talks to Peter Vincent. Peter Vincent does not believe him.
Oh, the horror host.
Yes.
Peter Vincent. And why should he?
Well, Peter Vincent just had a very bad day. He just got fired.
Yeah, they canceled this show.
He canceled his show, yes. Because no Elvira he is.
No, definitely not.
And
I actually got more what's-his-face from him.
Joe Bob?
Yeah.
Joe Bot definitely.
Well, it's funny because they really lay that. His hair is like gray.
It's like
It looks like
chalky
powder.
gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, maybe that was for the show, right? Like, they put the makeup on him. But it was funny to see later on, he's still got it in his hair.
Yeah.
Like, he's not trying to, like,
Well, and his name is an amalgam. What's that word? Amalgamation.
Huh?
of something Vincent Price.
Vincent Price and Peter Cushing, two
Yeah.
60s and 70s horror stars.
Okay.
I didn't know the Peter part, but I was like, I mean, there's no way that this person's name is Peter Vincent and it's not Vincent Price connected.
Gotcha. God, I didn't even think about that.
Charlie tells Evil and Amy he plans to go over to Jerry's house to kill him. Amy talks him into waiting.
I think this is actually when, like, Evil Ed kind of is like, because it made me laugh. He's talking to Amy and he's like, oh, God, I think he's actually going to do it. Like, he's like, oh, shit, he's, like, really crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I think that he's
He really thinks he's a vampire.
Yeah.
You know, one thing, this really has nothing to do with the plot of the movie, but did you notice that Charlie's like a very dapper dresser? Mm-hmm. Like, to be an 80s, like, teen movie, he kind of dressed as like a square. You know, like very put together with his blazer and his polos and button-downs. Like, he's not your typical...
For a senior in high school, yes.
Yeah. And at 1985, you know, he doesn't seem to come across...
Well, I mean, maybe they, like, came from money. And he's...
Maybe.
And he's, like, a more sophisticated...
type
teenager.
Guy. Could be.
He was the prep.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I would buy that.
But that wasn't the people we were attracted to in 80s movies.
No.
I need you wearing a cutoff tee and some short shorts.
Mm-hmm. Well, this isn't Sleepaway Camp. This is Fright Night. All I remember is Amy saying, "That is murder." Amy and Evil go and see Peter Vincent, and Amy pays him a $500 savings bond to come prove that Jerry isn't a vampire. After talking to Jerry on the phone, he agrees to some conditions to doing this.
I just don't know why you would pay $500 for to prove somebody wrong. Like, that's $500. If $8 was a lot of money back then $500 was
then that
like
just
$1
goes
million.
to show you they come from money.
Yeah, but it was Amy's money, right?
Well, that's
her
probably why
savings.
her
savings bond. Yeah,
that's probably why her and Charlie are.
Well, she's in love with Charlie.
Yeah,
and she
so
doesn't
she's
want him to
gonna
go
do
to jail.
everything. I get it.
And so Jerry agrees after some finagling.
The phone call. He thinks crosses would be sacrilegious. Just get him to drink the holy water.
It's just regular tap water. He agrees to it. Our ragtag team goes to Jerry's. He does his tests and sees he isn't a vampire. Peter, taking out his compact, discovers Jerry doesn't have a reflection and hurriedly gets everyone out of there. Nothing at all?
Not really.
Like, Peter Vincent actually realizes there's a fucking vampire in real life.
Well, yeah.
Well, and this is also kind of like a little foreshadowing to the whole concept that... Because I don't really remember when the whole idea of you have to have, like, faith in order for these things to work. When that came into...
I'd never heard that before until this movie.
Yeah, because, like...
It's been in something else or a couple other things, yeah.
Well, I just didn't remember in this movie, though, when it was brought up the first time. Because obviously this is... I mean, he gives the holy water, quote-unquote, and it's just... Obviously, it has no effect. But when Charlie takes that cross out, even in this scene, which I know it happens again later, he... backs away, but nobody really notices because they're not really paying attention to Jerry at that.
Because I
Jerry,
think Peter tells him to put it away real quickly. Yes.
Yeah, so nobody really paid attention to the fact that he did kind of like
recoil from it. Yeah,
mm-hmm. And I was just wondering because I was like, well, I don't remember when they said that in this movie.
Yeah,
I think it comes more towards
the end, right?
The end.
Yeah.
I know it comes up at the end. I just didn't know if we had said it at some point prior to that. And
I don't think so. I think it just comes up at the end. Charlie, Amy, and Evil walk Amy home, only for Evil to take a shortcut home. He pretends to get bitten.
Asshole.
Give you a hickey.
Yeah, that was kind of like a low blow.
A bit later, Evil is actually attacked and willingly turned into a vampire by Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he preyed on him pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Did anyone else get the vibe like Evil's gay, and that's what he was alluding to in his little thing?
Well, because didn't he say something about like, I know what it's like to be different, and
no one will ever pick on you anymore. Yeah,
but like,
that's what I got from it.
I get it, but I kind of just thought it was because he was the weird kid.
That was me. I didn't think anything of him like maybe being gay. I thought it was just he's weird. He's into this weird stuff. He's a little quirky, so people make fun of him.
Didn't Jerry says something at the house when they're like going to leave, and he says something to Evil about like, think we'd have a lot in common or something, like the occult and whatever.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the words that he said, but then of course this happened. So
Yeah.
Amy and Charlie are being stalked by Jerry, and they make their way into a club to hide. While Charlie is on the phone with the cops, Amy is coaxed out on the dance floor and does a dance with Jerry.
Oh, Dance of the Dead.
It's so weird, though, because I'm like, this is a grown... It was kind of uncomfortable to watch, because I thought...
I never thought of it that way, and I watched this movie so many times until he started saying stuff. I'm like, there might be seniors, and she's 18...
Or she's 17, and this is a grown man. I mean, they never say how old he really is, I don't think. But just watching it, I'm like, okay, there's probably a guy in like his early 30s or something, right? Preying on a teenager. I don't know. I thought it was icky.
I feel like this is a line that's kind of crossed in a lot of vampire movies.
Yes. Well, and this was the 80s, so like people probably didn't think about it as much. But if you put that in a movie now, people would probably be like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I was trying to just think of like other examples.
Well, I mean, you can even think of like, I've always thought about this in True Blood, again. Jessica is really only like 17 years old, and Hoyt, the guy she ends up dating, is like 32.
Well, and you got to figure, didn't she basically died at that age because she was still a virgin?
So she'll be 17 years old forever.
So forever, these men that she's with,
yeah.
I mean...
But maybe to me it was a little different because she's the vampire. You know what I mean? So now she's basically ageless. Whereas in a movie like this, he's preying on...
Younger.
She's a teenager.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love the dance.
I do like the dance as well.
Evelyn Champagne King's Give It Up. Has anyone... You guys watch Family Guy, right?
Yeah.
There's an episode in the last few years, and I was watching it. And all of a sudden, Peter's at a club with someone and starts dancing with someone. I was like, holy fuck. This is the dance from Fright Night. They recreated the whole dance in Family Guy.
Really?
No context. I'm not sure who got it, but it was the whole dance that Amy and Jerry do in Fright Night and Family Guy.
That's one thing I like about Family Guy. They do a lot of shit like that. But while they're dancing, she realizes you can't see his reflection.
Yes.
She's essentially dancing by
herself. Because there's that wall of mirrors.
Yeah. And as they're turning, she's looking and realizing, oh my God, I don't see him. And that's when it clicks for her, too. Oh, he's a vampire.
Yep.
But she's under his spell or
his glamour.
What have you.
His glamour.
Oh, because he glamour. I mean, he's moving through the dance floor and he keeps moving. Next thing you know, he's right in front of her.
Yeah, and they're like kissing, right?
No.
Don't they kiss? I think they kiss. Or maybe they kiss later.
I think they kiss later.
It doesn't matter. It's
dance.
still inappropriate. Continue.
Well, while all this is happening, Evil shows up at Peter's house, and Peter lets him in. He shows him he is a vampire and attacks Peter. Peter gives him a cross to the face.
Yes, and it burns him.
Which is probably one of the most like iconic pictures from this movie, right?
One of them, for
that
sure.
That one and that one on the cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The middle picture. But yeah, you see that one a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's just an X on his head. It looks like an X the way it was on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gross looking. And I feel like throughout this entire scene, he just gets more and more gross looking.
Yeah.
Well, that's in tune with how Jerry changes, I feel like. So.
Yeah.
They're all like that.
I don't know. I just love where he realizes he's a vampire and Evil's like, ah!
I mean,
Peter, like,
Evil
recoils.
is pretty, like, chaotic prior to being a vampire. Right. So, like, I can only imagine that this would like amplify his personality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did a leap of faith there at the end of that scene. He jumped out that window.
He did. Love a good leap of faith.
Well, you got to have faith for things to happen.
That's right.
Yep. Well, we are then back in the club and a fight ensues. Amy is taken by Jerry.
And Jerry is like throwing these huge security guards around.
He picks that one up by the neck.
Yes.
Because the one's like, isn't it Leon? He yells, Leon.
Yeah.
Leon!
Oh my God, Leon.
It is.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, Charlie almost got Amy away, but that damn stampede down.
Also,
Surprised no one got killed.
So they were like going downstairs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when they walked into this club,
I think
it was
it's just like the way it was. Like they were up a hill and maybe they're going out. I think it's just the way
the layout or something.
The layout of it.
Because I was like, y'all are going like downstairs into this place. Why are y'all not running out the door?
I think what it is they were. So here's the building, and they were kind of on an incline and came here, and the club's down here, or club's here, and they came down.
So basically, they entered on the top
entrance.
floor.
Yes, that's how. Because there is hill. It is kind of hilly in that. I don't know.
Well, it could have been. Yeah, it could have been built into a hill, like my old apartment I lived in. If you went in this, like through the living room, you were pretty much, it looked like on the first floor, but in actuality, if you went around, you had to go up steps to get to my apartment.
Yeah.
It was on the second floor.
Yeah, that's how I think it was.
Yeah.
Charlie rushes to Peter's house again to help him get Amy back. Peter says, hell no.
Well, yeah, because now Peter knows. He's like, oh shit, this is real. I don't want any part of it.
Well, he makes Charlie grab that cross to prove he isn't a vampire.
He does.
So then Amy and Jerry have a seductive moment on the floor, and she is bitten.
Inappropriate. It's inappropriate.
Well, I don't even know if they actually... Do you think they actually had sex? I know at one point she obviously alludes to the fact that she's a virgin, and she's like, it doesn't matter, I don't care.
I think they absolutely had sex.
Okay.
I mean, she's in completely different clothes later.
Well.
And I think she got undressed.
When you're turning into a vampire, you want a nice white frock.
Purity.
They
Yes.
did. Look, I think they did whatever they did. And then he had that laying around from whoever's picture he keeps. It looks like Amy. That's why he's.
Well, that's
we
why
haven't
he's
even talked about that.
This allure to her.
Yeah, because she looks like maybe a past lover. He's got a photo of her or a painting in his house, and she's even seen it. And like when she sees it, she's got this look on her face, like, "Oh my god!"
Charlie
looks like
saw
me.
it,
yeah,
and he's like, "Amy." Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he probably had one of her frocks laying around somewhere in storage
And wanted her to wear it.
and then put it on her when they got done.
Well, let's be
doing
honest.
whatever
When
they did.
Amy turns into a vampire, her hair gets long
She
and
is
her boobs get big.
She's pretty hot. She's a pretty hot vampire in that dress. She looks great in it. But anyways.
It was giving me very Ghostbuster vibes.
Yeah.
Like Sigourney when she's,
When she gets possessed.
Yeah.
So Charlie goes it alone, only for Peter to show up. They go inside the house. Jerry says, "Welcome to Fright Night. For real."
I am Peter Vincent, the great vampire killer.
They are attacked by Billy. Peter runs out of the house while Charlie is knocked out cold. Peter runs into Charlie's house to get to his mom, only to find out Evil is in the bed. Evil is hurt by Peter after turning into a wolf, and he appears to die.
Yeah, that tripped me up because I was like...
He's in that
wait.
Raggedy Ann doll hair.
Yeah.
It creeped me out, to be honest.
It was a little creepy. But I thought, is he a wolf or is he a vampire? That was weird to me.
I think it's how Jerry turns into a bat. Evil turns into a wolf. That's like his DNA as being a vampire.
Okay.
They can turn into different things, and he turns into a werewolf.
Gotcha.
Or a wolf. Not a werewolf, a wolf.
A wolf.
Yes. All I remember is...
Well, that's just, like, different, though.
His
Because, like,
dinner.
typically... if a vampire bites you, you're going to turn into a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, that's usually, like, what it is. But also, I don't really know that Billy is like
Billy's a zombie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to bring up. He's clearly not a vampire.
Well, we haven't got to that, so I don't know if we should
Okay,
talk
yeah,
about
we
all
can
that
get to
yet.
it in a minute. Okay.
we're almost there.
I don't know. I love this part with Evil.
Oh,
He's in the bed and he's like, his mom is working nights and his dinner is in the oven.
I mean, Evil is
like
just
the way he says it.
Evil's just the character in this in this movie. But we're not going all the way through that scene, right? Yet.
Yes, we do go through that whole scene before they go back to the house.
So, like, the end of Evil.
Yes.
Okay. Because that was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Like, and a little unexpected. I mean, obviously I saw it coming as far as, like, as soon as he broke the stairs, like some kind of table was, like, sitting there.
Yeah, he hit that, ran into that.
And I was like,
Peter
oh,
hit
okay,
that
well,
table.
here we go. So he's going to, like, stake him. But then I was like, I mean, does that work like that for wolves? And
Yeah, a wolf pyre.
I mean, because don't you have to kill a wolf with silver? But, okay.
Well, that's a werewolf, though. And he's not a werewolf. He's just a wolf.
He hit that chandelier
He did.
hard. Mm-hmm. I do love that whole transformation thing where he is dying and goes from
When
a
he
wolf
crawls
to, a
to the
human
wall.
and is
Yeah.
Well, he crawls as the wolf, and then he turns into the wolf human hybrid, and
Yeah, I do like that scene, too.
then his human is crying for help. And you can see, actually, Peter Vincent feels really bad.
Well, yeah, it's a
For
kid,
him.
you know?
And then...
And then I think what's sad about it is you realize later, like, after this is all said and done with, like, he could potentially still be alive had you not killed him.
Yeah,
Like, he could have returned to his human form, you know?
exactly. So Peter makes his way back to Jerry's and finds Charlie locked in the room with Amy. Peter gets him out. I should say Jerry took the knocked out Charlie, threw him into the room with Amy,
Yes.
and said, "You wanted her, here she is."
Do you think that Jerry looks he looked a little like Mark Ruffalo?
A little bit.
There would be certain scenes that would be like, damn, he looks just like Mark Ruffalo.
Maybe that's why Susan Sarandon was attracted to him.
Because he looked like Mark Ruffalo?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Even though Mark Ruffalo's probably like 30 years younger than him.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, he's probably like Amanda Bearse's age, I would think.
Yeah. So, Peter shoots Billy, who is actually undead, ? He finally meets his demise after Charlie stakes him.
Okay, yes. So let's talk about Billy.
So Billy
What the
can
hell
be
is
in daylight.
Billy?
I don't think you ever know. I don't think you're ever supposed to know. I think if you ask Tom Holland what he is, he would say,
Just
use your imagination.
Just some supernatural creature. Because he
Yeah.
oozes, right? Turns green and kind of like
That whole
melts.
thing is gnarly.
It is gnarly. But he just kind of melts. And then I thought, okay, well, what would do that? Is he like a goblin?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's from
I
Troll
got
2.
like how you just said zombie vibes. Like
It's kind
that
of a
was
zombie type thing.
That was kind of the vibe I got after he'd been shot, and then he like kind of came up through the smoke and was like walking towards
Yeah.
them or whatever. I was like, okay,
Because
so
he's not human. Clearly
Right.
human. He's definitely not a vampire. He's
and
not
he
a
can
werewolf.
obviously be in the sunlight. So
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the green made me think, oh, he's like some sort of goblin or something. From the
He's something
underworld.
supernatural.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that scene is pretty wild when he's just like
He
everything
lifts
is
up
just
his
melting
hands
off,
and it starts all melting, and
and then
his bones,
the bones just shatter.
Yeah.
and his skull slides
I like
across
that
the
scene.
floor.
I liked
too.
the skull sliding across the floor part.
Jerry jumps through the window and attacks them. The clocks go off, meaning sunrise. Jerry turns into a bat and attacks Peter and bites Charlie. After being hurt by the sunlight, he flies to the basement.
I think it's funny how he has all those clocks in there.
There are so many clocks.
There's so many clocks, but they all go off like at sundown, or
Sunrise.
so he knows when he needs to be going to the basement. And I just sit there and I'm like, that's literally me every morning when I
All
get
those
up to go to
alarm
work.
clocks.
Yeah.
It is true.
And sometimes I still don't even wake up. So, what the fuck?
Very true.
Hashtag same.
Yeah.
Well, I love the bat.
That's an ugly bat.
I love
And I
it.
think bats
It's also
are
a
cute,
very
but that's
large bat.
It is big.
Well, that's why I think he has long fingers. Is because you know how that's like the bat's fingers are really long.
Well, look, I mean, you know, everyone in this room knows that the Lost Boys is like my shit.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, that's how they're bats, technically.
Yes.
I think, as well. Because when they showed David's, his are like claws, like holding him up on the thing when they're sleeping.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I think his fingers are elongated, because he's kind of turning into the vampire.
Got it.
And that's why they're elongated. Well, Charlie got a pretty gnarly bite to his hand, and then thank God Billy's femur bone was there to save Peter. And Jerry flew out of there like a bat out of hell, knocking over shit left and right as he flew down into the basement.
He had to get down there.
Peter and Charlie make it to the basement, only for Charlie to get attacked by Amy.
Who looks crazy.
Wild.
Some wild hair.
Hair? That mouth.
Yeah, the mouth is crazy. Like, she could just swallow you whole.
There's a whole story about that. So there's a documentary. It's called You're So Cool, Brewster, The Making of Fright Night.
Uh-huh. And
they talk about all this. And it's, if you like this movie, I recommend watching it. It's a really good documentary.
Do they have like a
It's
lot of
on-
old like behind the scenes videos and stuff?
Yes, that's where I've learned about a lot of this stuff. So when they were filming the scene, that wasn't really supposed to be in there, but Tom Holland asked the makeup special effects department to make this. And they're like, well, it's not really supposed to be screen used. It should be just a quick shot. And he ends up using it throughout the film to the point that it ends up on the poster.
Are you talking about her face?
Her face. It was never supposed to be a focal point because it wasn't really created to have close-ups or to have that much screen time.
Uh-huh.
The special effects department wasn't happy that he used it.
I mean, hers is the most effective to me, I think.
I mean,
though.
it's massive. It's leaves a lasting
It does.
impression on you because it's huge.
I mean, Jerry didn't look like that.
No.
Neither did Evil. So, like, I mean, yeah, when you see it, it's like...
Lord have
Well,
mercy.
when she attacks him, she is tearing that place up.
Yeah, she's pretty ferocious.
Well, you know, they say, like, when you're...
Those young vampires.
New vampire, you're, like, basically feral. You're just going crazy.
Well, she was. Charlie was trying to dodge her left and right, and she was throwing shit and pushing shit. And
he'd be like, Amy, what that mouth do?
Ew! Bite it off is what it do.
Peter gets to Jerry's coffin, opens it, and starts to stake him, but it does not work. Well, he pops up out of that coffin like, doop.
He's happy to see him.
Well, he sure. If that would have been me, I'd been like, damn it, I'm done for because
yeah.
I didn't kill him.
Right.
He starts to attack Peter. Charlie realizes there are windows, and they start breaking them to let the light in.
Which I loved because at the very beginning, you see them painting the windows black. And it's just very, like, they don't really talk about it. It's just like, this is them working on their house. You know, they're just painting the windows black.
It's the first time Billy goes out to scare Charlie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's like, oh, yeah, they're whatever. So, I like that comes up again.
Well, Jerry gets a beam of light directly, and he turns into a skeletal bat creature and dies. And then Amy returns to normal.
And that's what I'm saying. Poor Evil Ed. Like,
He could have been
if he
back.
could have just, like, maybe if they would have locked him up somewhere, like, he would have returned to his normal self. You know?
Well, I love when that light hits him because Jerry fucking flies back, hits that wall.
Yeah.
That is a crazy death.
Yeah, I would like to watch that documentary now that you say that.
Oh, it is so good. Because, I mean, you have fire and flames, and he's screaming for Amy, and then just zoop, and it's done. Mm-hmm. All seems good, but a couple nights later, Amy and Charlie, I'm going to assume it's a couple nights later, Amy and Charlie are in his bedroom and he sees glowing eyes in Jerry's house. The movie ends with Evil Ed laughing and saying, "You're so cool, Brewster."
Oh, I forgot about that. So, is the Evil Ed still alive?
Oh, is he?
So that was what I thought. Okay, so here's my thing with this. Obviously, Peter pulls that piece of wood out of Evil Ed, right?
Yes.
So I was like, okay, well maybe he hadn't like wholly died yet.
And he recovered.
But if that's the case, why is he not normal?
Because Jerry's done. And
Because like,
Amy returned to normal.
Right. If Amy returned to normal and Evil Ed is still alive, then why isn't Evil Ed normal?
That's a very good point. Because I would think that he would still be human. That he would have returned to human. And honestly, at that point, he was so far gone, he probably would have died.
So I have a theory about it.
Okay.
I mean, this is just a theory, and this is just a movie. But I think Evil Ed willingly got turned into a vampire, where Amy was more glamored into it.
So since he willingly did it.
Yes, that's my theory on the whole thing of it all. Oh. I don't know anything about it, but to me that's the difference. Amy was glamored into all this stuff, was glamored into coming with him and all that, where he basically gave Evil a choice, and he chose to be turned into a vampire.
Well, I actually buy that, I think. Okay, no, I know there's a Fright Night 2.
Yes.
Didn't you buy a copy of it not too long ago?
On bootleg, yes, because it was released on very limited DVD, and it's been in rights issue hell forever, so it's probably never going to get a Blu-ray release.
So is Evil Ed
He is
in
not.
Fright Night
So
2?
Evil Ed and Amy were supposed to both be in it. So Amy and Evil Ed were both supposed to be in it. Rewrites got rid of the Amy character, and the only reason Evil Ed didn't come back is because he decided to make the movie 976 Evil instead, which was being filmed at the same time.
Oh, I've heard of that, but I've never watched it.
I've heard of that too.
Yeah, okay. So that's the only reason, because he was the lead in 976 Evil, so he decided to do that movie instead.
Got it.
I think he probably regrets not doing, even though the movie didn't do good, because the company that released it, actually Tommy Lee Wallace directed Fright Night too. It was going bankrupt when the movie got released, so it bombed, and that's probably why it's in a rights hell right now.
Are there only the two of them, or is there another sequel?
No, there's just the two. There is a book sequel that Tom Holland wrote a couple years ago, which I actually have. And I think he wants to do another movie, another direct sequel. It just has never happened. And there's the remake, and then there's a sequel to the remake.
Oh, I didn't know there was a sequel to the remake.
Which was just direct to DVD or
that's
video.
stupid.
The Colin Farrell one?
Yes. But
I didn't know that there was a sequel to that.
Actors are
Neither did I.
Yeah, there is a sequel to it.
Interesting.
There is. Oh, you know what? I do want to tell you, because I wrote this down, because I thought you would get a kick out of this, Keith. Peter Vincent's character, Roddy McDowell's, his character, Peter Vincent, he actually based it, because they had to do a backstory and all this. Right. He based his performance on the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Because, he is kind of scared and jumpy.
Yeah, he is.
And
he's like the vampire slayer, but he's still kind of like...
Yes.
Cowardly.
Yeah, okay.
I just thought
that's cool.
Because you love The Wizard of Oz.
I do love The Wizard of Oz.
Movie.
It's my favorite movie of all time.
There is actually a gay subtext in this movie that most of the actors didn't realize when they were filming it. But it has to do with Billy and Jerry's character. Well, so there is a gay subtext.
They do look like a middle-aged gay couple in like suburbia.
They do.
and their scenes together, they do.
Well, and there's that part where he's like cleaning his hand, and it kind of looks like he's going in, because remember when the pencil goes through his hand, Billy's then cleaning it, and he's down on his knees, and it almost looks like he's giving him head.
Fellatio.
That scene...
Fellatio.
There's a scene where Charlie, William Ragsdale's character, is running down the stairs in the movie. And apparently you can actually hear it. But he was running and hit the stairs and actually broke his ankle.
Oh.
And you can hear him break his ankle.
Oh.
And then from all the filming scenes after that, you don't see him from his knees down because he's wearing a cast.
Oh, wow.
Which I learned in the documentary.
Interesting. Huh.
The only other couple things I would have to say is, if you enjoy this movie, you guys should go watch a movie from a couple years prior to that called Class of 1984, because the director and writer of this movie wrote the screenplay for Class of 1984, which is fantastic.
Really good.
It is really good.
Michael made me watch it maybe a few months ago, and it was so fucking good.
Usually if we watch a movie, he'll be stitching, and he'll kind of passively watch it. This one, he literally put the stitch down and watched the whole movie. So that's how you knew it was a
so
good movie.
good. It was so good. And when it ended, I was like, can I get a copy of this on Blu-ray or something? It's very good.
It is really good.
Yeah.
He also wrote the screenplay for Psycho 2 for any of you Psycho fans out there.
Didn't Tom Holland also do Child's Play?
He did. He co-wrote the script and he directed Child's Play.
Yeah. The original.
Yeah, he was very prolific in the 80s and did a lot of really good stuff. And the only other thing I'd have to say is I think this soundtrack is fantastic. I love the soundtrack in this movie.
Yeah, we listened to it before we started.
We did.
Are we ready to tackle a scene from Fright Night? Michael, your favorite segment.
Night. You have to say it how...
Huh?
You have to say how Jerry says it, yes.
Fright Night.
Yeah.
For real.
For real.
Murder.
Yeah.
Are you a faithful or are you a traitor? Anyways, it's time for Horror Fried Theater. Mike, what are we going to be doing today? Tonight. Tonight.
So it's actually going to be the whole scene where Peter and the gang go to Jerry's house.
That was the email I just got from you.
Go to Jerry's house to determine if he is in fact a vampire.
So should we do this as the characters in the movie, or should we make it more interesting like we did last time and change it up?
I mean, I feel like these characters are pretty
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't like a serious movie, so okay.
Right. Although, so Charlie, Amy, and Evil Ed.
I don't want to be Charlie.
Just assign us. Just
okay.
Whatever.
You do Charlie, okay. Michael. Keith, you do Evil Ed. I'll do Amy. And then, as far as Jerry, Billy, and Peter, I want you to do but you're doing Charlie. Is there a lot of back and forth with Charlie? And I don't think there is.
It doesn't matter.
I think you should do Jerry.
Okay.
And then you do Peter, Keith, and
So
I'll
you're
just do Billy. Yeah.
Okay.
Who has the Fright Night? Is that Jerry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's you, baby.
That's not this scene, though.
No, but you're going to have to use that voice.
Okay.
Okay, great. Let's do it.
All right, are we ready? We're each going to be playing two people in this theater. Keith is going to be Evil Ed and Peter. I'm going to be Amy and Billy, and Michael is going to be Charlie and Jerry.
Now, I really expect a really good Jerry. And
Here we go.
And I expect a really good Amy.
Okay. Well, I'm expecting a really good Evil Ed, and if
you're gonna get good.
And if he has a laugh, I'm expecting that laugh.
Well, I don't even remember, so I'm just gonna have to do whatever I want. as far as ad libs.
It's a very exaggerated
Okay.
laugh.
All right. And then I'll, of course, read all the things.
What's up, y'all? It's your favorite movie maniacs, Jesse,
And Brittany,
from Danger Zone Video.
voted Nashville's best new video store.
And you bought the ticket? Now it's time to take the ride. This is Horror Fried Theater.
We ready? Let's keep up. 3 teenagers, Charlie, Evil Ed, and Amy, stand in front of the house waiting. Dusk slowly gathering, the shadows lengthening as night closes about them. Charlie glances nervously at his watch.
It's 6:10. He said he'd be here at 6, right?
Relax. He said he'd be here. He'll be here.
Peter's old clunker appears around the corner. Amy's the first to see it. Here he comes! The kids rush the car as Peter pulls up.
Mr. Vincent, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this.
Peter slowly gets out of the car, stretching to his full height. He wears his vampire killer regalia, the Victorian suit, and carries a small leather satchel. There's something truly majestic about him. He looks down at Charlie, laying it on with a trowel.
Charlie Brewster, I presume. Peter Vincent, vampire killer. And now down to business. Where is the lair of the suspected creature of the night?
There.
Ah, yes, I see what you mean. There is a distinct possibility.
He opens the satchel, withdraws a small crystal vial of water, slips it into his jacket pocket, closes the bag, and replaces it on the front seat of his car. He locks the car and turns back to the kids, straightening his shoulders.
Well, shall we?
Where's your stakes and hammer?
I left them in my bag.
You're not going in there without them.
I have to prove he's a vampire before I kill him, Charlie.
But I know he's a vampire.
But I am the one that has to know, Charlie. This is holy water. If it touches him, he'll blister, and in this case, I asked him to drink it while we all watched. He readily agreed.
He did?
Yes, which doesn't exactly strengthen your case, does it? Now, shall we go?
He takes a step up the walk. Charlie grabs his arm.
But Mr. Vincent, if I'm right, and you prove he's a vampire, he'll kill us all right then and there.
No, he won't, Charlie. Not with me here to protect you, after all. I'm Peter Vincent.
He starts up the walk, Amy and Evil Ed following him. Charlie runs after him, increasingly desperate.
But Mr. Vincent, you don't know how powerful he is. He can change into a bat and fly through the night.
Peter stops on the porch, knocking on the door, listening to the boy with half an ear.
Of course, Charlie, of course. But then he's never dealt with me before, either.
But...
Billy Cole opens the door, his face lighting up when he sees Peter. He shakes his hand warmly. Mr. Vincent, Billy Cole! This is a pleasure. Won't you all come in? He steps back and Peter, Evil Ed, and Amy enter the house. Charlie has no choice but to follow. Billy turns and yells up the stairs, all the clocks behind him ticking madly. The hour 6:30 p.m. Hey, Jerry, they're here! Several seconds pass. Nothing happens. Peter turns to Billy.
Perhaps he didn't hear you.
Oh, he heard me all right. Suddenly, a step creaks at the top of the staircase where the shadows are the heaviest. Slowly, Jerry Dandridge walks down the stairs into view. First his elegant shoes, then his legs with their fashionable pants. Finally, the rest of him beautifully turned out. His handsome face stares down at them as he makes his entrance. There's something truly majestic about him, both incredibly attractive and yet frightening at the same time. Jerry reaches the bottom of the stairs and turns to Peter with a blinding smile.
Ah, Mr. Vincent. I've seen all your films, and I find them very amusing.
Thank you.
And who might these two attractive people be?
This is Ed Thompson and Amy Peterson.
Charmed. Isn't that what vampires are supposed to do, Charlie?
Charlie scowls at him. The others laugh. Jerry turns to the living room.
Please, come in.
He ushers Peter into the living room, Billy following. Amy and Evil Ed stare after Jerry, both totally captivated. God, he's neat. She follows him into the living room. Evil Ed shoots Charlie a disgusted glance.
Some vampire, Brewster!
He follows the others, left alone. Charlie has no choice but to join them. Jerry looks around at the packing crates and few pieces of dusty furniture and turns back to the others.
You'll have to excuse the mess. I'm still unpacking. Where do you keep your coffin, or do you have more than one?
Charlie.
It's all right, Mr. Vincent. I'm quite used to it by now. As you may or may not know, Charlie even brought the police over here a few days ago.
Peter, Amy, and Evil Ed all look at Charlie, shocked. Charlie, you didn't!
Damn right I did. Only the cops didn't believe me any more than any of you. But you'll believe me in a few seconds, Mr. Vincent. Give him the holy water.
Charlie, there's no reason to be rude about this. It's perfectly all right, Mr. Vincent. Where's the, holy water?
I feel like that was
labeled
wrong, yeah.
It says Peter, but it was supposed to be my line.
Peter withdraws the vial from his pocket. Jerry eyes it warily. Staring at Peter, you just picked up on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. His voice suddenly heavy with double meaning.
Are you sure that's holy water, Mr. Vincent?
Positive. I saw Father Scanlon bless it down at St. Mary's himself.
Jerry takes the vial from his hand, pulling the stopper and sniffing at it. For the first time, nervousness creeping into his manner. Charlie sidles up to Amy, whispering in her ear as Jerry prepares to drink the water.
Get ready, run. I'll protect you with this.
He edges a cross out of his pocket, just giving her a glimpse of it. He glances up just as Jerry lifts his head back and downs the contents of the vial in one swallow. He turns to Peter triumphantly.
They're satisfied?
Totally. Charlie, you saw it. And you're convinced now that Mr. Dandridge isn't a vampire.
Charlie stares at Jerry and the vial, stunned almost into speechlessness.
But it can't be.
You just saw it, Charlie. You know as well as I do that no vampire could drink blessed water.
Then it wasn't blessed.
Are you calling me a liar, young man?
Charlie looks at Jerry. Jerry stares back at him, smiling. Charlie suddenly whips the cross out of his pocket and holds it up.
If he's not a vampire, then have him touch this.
Jerry stiffens, his face losing its color, but none of the others notice. They're all looking at Charlie. Peter steps up to the boy.
Charlie, you've already made me a fool of your... You've already... Charlie, you've already made a fool of yourself once. There's no reason to compound the error.
Yes, Charlie, you've already created... I'm sorry.
We can't read.
You already caused your friends quite enough pain. You don't want to cause them any more, do you?
Charlie sees Dandridge coiling to spring, Billy sliding into place, blocking the doorway to the portico. The tension level in the room is suddenly unbearable. Peter, Amy, and Evil Ed are aware of it, although they don't know the reason. Charlie slowly edges the cross back into his pocket.
No, of course not. And you're finally convinced I'm not a vampire either, correct?
Their eyes lock. A moment passes. Then finally...
Yes.
Jerry smiles at him, and the tension suddenly flows out of the room. Billy even smiles. Jerry steps forward, ushering them all toward the portico.
Well, I'm glad that's all settled.
They all stop before the front door. Billy in the background. Jerry turns to Peter.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate this, Mr. Vincent. You've been a great help.
Oh, not at all, Mr. Dandridge. I'm glad to be of service.
Jerry ignores Charlie, turning to Amy and Evil Ed as Peter steps back, reaching into his coat pocket for his cigarette case.
It's been very nice meeting both of you. Please feel free to drop by anytime. You'll always be welcome.
I'd like that, Mr. Dandridge.
Please, call me Jerry.
Her face is beginning to stiffen, her eyes turning blank. Charlie looks at her in sudden alarm, remembering the girl he saw through the window that night. He grabs Amy by the arm, tugging her toward the door.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Just a minute, Charlie. Smiling, Jerry turns to Evil Ed as behind them. Peter opens his cigarette case, takes out a smoke, about to stamp it down on a thumbnail when he glances at the mirror on the inside of the lid. He sees Amy, Evil Ed, and Charlie grouped around where Jerry Dandridge should be standing, but he is not there. It's as though the kids are talking to thin air.
The same goes for you, Ed. I suggest we have many of the same interests. You know, in such things as horror, movies, the occult, sucking cock.
Oh!
Peter's head jerks up and he looks at the doorway. Now he sees Jerry standing there talking to the kids. Peter looks back down at the mirror again. No Jerry. His face goes chalk white, his mouth gasps for air, and he drops the case from his hall seat hands. It smashes to the hardwood floor with a crash. Everyone turns and looks at him.
Something wrong, Mr. Vincent?
Peter hurriedly scoops up the case, trying to hide his shaking hands and keep the tremor out of his voice.
Oh, no, just my clumsiness. Come along, we must be going. Thank you again, Mr. Dandridge.
He ushers the teenagers out the front door as Jerry watches, puzzled by his sudden change in attitude. Peter plunges down the walk to his car, and the kids hurrying to keep up with him. Charlie looks at him.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
He stops by his car, fumbling his keys out of his pocket, hardly able to fit them into the lock with his trembling hands.
Then why are you shaking?
They're not shaking.
He finally gets the door open, hurriedly sliding in behind the wheel. Slamming the door behind them, Charlie leans down, speaking through the partially open window.
You saw something in there, didn't you? Something that convinced you he was a vampire.
Will you be quiet?
Is Jerry Dandridge a vampire or not?
No, of course not.
Please, Mr. Vincent, you have to tell me. Our lives depend on it.
All right. He didn't cast a reflection in my mirror. Satisfied now?
Mr. Vincent, you have to call the police and tell them.
The engine finally catches and roars away in a cloud of burning rubber, Charlie watching him go, half frustrated to death.
Shit.
Insane.
So you've survived another horror fried theater. Congratulations. If you would ever like to come peruse some wares, maybe come purchase a movie mentioned on this podcast, come down to Danger Zone Video, 11942 Lebanon Road, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 37122. Come visit us and leave absolutely horrified.
That was a long one.
That was a long one. That was the most lines I think I've ever had.
I didn't think it was ever going to end.
And I had to talk to myself.
You do that all the time anyway. That should come easy. All right, final thoughts, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Michael, since this was once again your pick.
Yes.
And also one of your favorite movies.
We are like knocking your picks out this season.
I know.
So give us your score first.
Well, I'm going to have to give it a 1.
Shut the
Just
fuck
kidding.
up.
Nobody believes that.
Well, you know I'm going to give this movie a 5. This is my favorite vampire movie. I love everything about it. I think it's a love letter to like the Universal horror movies. You can tell that Tom Holland is a fan of the genre, and I just love everything about it.
God, look at you smiling over there. You're
I
just
love
like
this movie.
Gay with happiness.
I love
I
love everything about it. It hits every single point that I like in a movie like this.
Okay. Mike?
I mean, I'm definitely like on the same page. I loved it. I do remember, I feel like when I was younger when I saw it, I feel like I thought that Jerry was more attractive than he was when I watched it this time.
Yeah.
Same.
And I don't really...
That's like I said earlier, like he's a handsome guy, but like not really our type now. Like look, you know what I mean?
Because I was probably like mid-teens when I first saw it. And I don't know. Maybe it was just because he was a vampire and I was just like...
You had raging hormones.
Yeah. But I think it's a really good movie. I think it's funny. It has the music. It has all the things you want out of like an 80s horror vampire movie. I mean, coming from somebody who loves The Lost Boys. So
Your favorite vampire
My
movie.
favorite, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go with a 5. Just because I think it's better than a 4. And
Okay.
I don't want to do like, you know,
Well, we can't
doing
do half
halves and
scores.
stuff. So,
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that this season.
but I do think it's better than a 4. So I'll just go ahead and knock it up to a 5.
Okay. I feel like you're both going to be really disappointed. Don't get me wrong. I like this movie. I think it's very fun. I like the practical effects. I like the characters. I like the dialogue. But you both know me well enough to know by now, like, I'm not a huge vampire fan, you know? And I
Wait,
tend
you're
to,
not?
Well, hang on. I tend to like my vampires more like raunchy, sexy, Southern. Hello, True Blood. I'm talking about True Blood. I like True Blood, okay? But aside from that, I'm not really big on vampire movies, right?
But I think this is a good movie. Like, not my like. I'm not gonna throw it on in the background if I want to like watch something. It's just not that for me. So I have to go like right down the middle and give it a 3. But that's just me.
I'm very disappointed in you.
Well, I still think it's a great movie. It's just, I don't know. It's just
average for you.
Yeah, it's just like okay, when you go to a movie, like when we go to these movies and we watch something, and I'm like, it's cute. Like, it's cute. It was a cute movie. Like, that's how I felt about this. Like, it's a fun, cute movie.
Don't have anything bad to say about it.
No, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I really don't. It's just, when I was thinking about a score, I'm like, well, would I give it a hot? I mean, I didn't love it that much. I just thought it was cute. It's cute. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm giving it a 3. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Our 2 5s will trump that.
Yeah, but don't you think, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, Mike, I know you do, but, I really don't. It's not a bad movie. It's just, I don't love it.
And I mean, to, what you're saying, we all know that I pretty much love anything that has to do with vampires. So, so you had, a natural draw to it already. I mean, even the most terrible vampire movies I've seen, I'm always like, well, I'm going to go see it because it's a vampire movie.
Right. See, and I feel like I've never been much of a vampire, aside from True Blood. I loved True Blood, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it took place in the South. I know these people. You know what I mean? And I liked it a lot.
I know. But I'm literally sitting here trying to think of, vampire movies that I feel like you would like.
There's
30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night is my favorite vampire movie, which we're covering later on this season. Mm-hmm. I'm excited about. So, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, y'all. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and rate the Horror Fried Podcast and catch up on all our previous episodes on your favorite streaming service. Links are available on our Instagram page. Once again, we'd like to thank our friends, Brittany and Jesse of Danger Zone Video, for hosting Horror Fried Theater this season. Y'all can find them on Instagram at Danger Zone Video. Join us next time, where we will be staying in the 1985 realm, and finally covering one of Mike's movies, Silver Bullet.
Werewolf.
Which I've never seen before.
Really?
The second werewolf movie.
Never seen.
Have you seen it?
What?
You've seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen Silver Bullet, so this will be fun.
Yeah, because Corey Haim's in it, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Corey Haim?
Corey Haim.
And a guy from Twin Peaks.
Well, I'm excited because I've never seen it before. I'm always excited to see movies that I've never seen before.
Would you say that you like werewolves over vampire movies?
No.
No?
Yes.
I would.
For me, yes.
For him, yeah. For me, I'd say they're about the same.
You like your werewolves like True Blood werewolves?
Like Alcide. That's just, for movie-wise, but now there is another werewolf movie that we're covering later on down the line. I don't know if it was my pick or your pick. I feel like we could have potentially both picked it, but I think it was my pick. Cursed.
I think we both had that on there.
Yeah, which I'm excited about that, but that's a little different. You know what I mean? So, and I liked The Howling a lot. I gave The Howling a really good score.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of, I think why I rated The Howling so high, though, was the performances are so good in it. Mm-hmm. And this movie, there's nothing wrong with the performances, but it's not it's not Dee Wallace. It's not Belinda Balaski. And we all know how I feel about Belinda Balaski at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Welcome to Fright Night. For real.